Did you think maybe I was gonna try to hide? Come on, guys, we all know it's me. So we might as well get into it.
Hey, buddy, it's Dad. Listen, it looks like I'm gonna be gone again this weekend. I'm feeling pretty bad about it because I know I promised you another story, so I thought maybe I could record this next one. I know it's not as good, but hopefully it can tide you over until I get back. Now, last time, when we were talking about Isaiah, you asked me to tell you about Simeon, but seeing as Simeon can get a little scary, I thought I'd give you something brighter until I get back. The other thing that you kept asking me about was the whistling eagle and how it works, and I think I have the perfect story for you. Now, this takes place thousands of years after Isaiah, and I even talked to Mrs. Grunt to make sure that I got all my facts straight. She said to tell you hi, by the way. So let me tell you the story of George Popsick and the day that he arrived in Salm Valley. Now, over 100 years ago, there was a huge fight called a war between two halves of the country, the good up guys and the bad down guys. Even though this fight started on the other side of the country, it had soon spread all the way to what would soon become Colorado. The good guys knew there was a bunch of silver up in the mountains, and if the bad guys got to it, they could sell the silver to keep the war going forever. The miners who had been living in Salm Valley asked the good guys for help defending their fort, and the good guys sent a group of soldiers to help them, led by a general named George Popsick. You remember the revolver that I showed you when we went to Candleglass? That was given to George for everything that he did to help us. It was 1861, years before even Dr. Gray was born, when George and his group arrived in Salm Valley. Now, because they were new to the area, they were riding horses. And like we always warn you, George's horse smelled some narrow eye and ran into the woods to try to find it. George was dragged away from his friends, eventually falling off of his horse deep in the woods. He wasn't badly hurt, but he was lost and alone. With no other options, he began to try and find his way back. Soon, George started hearing whispers. Again, because he was new, he began following them, thinking maybe he was hearing his friends. George walked, and slowly he realized he was being driven up the mountain. Now, the one thing he had been told was to never go up the mountain. But when he turned around, he finally saw what had been whispering to him, and he did the first sensible thing yet. He ran. George said he was being chased by a monster, like a man and a dog and a monkey all rolled into one. Well, we both know who that is, don't we? Now, George could have been eaten or worse, but he started hearing a song, a whistle, that he ran toward with all his might, even as the sound got so loud that his eyes watered and he could only crawl forward. He looked up to see a silver eagle chasing the monster back down the mountain. And as scary as the sound had been, George realized the eagle had never hurt him. As he followed the sound down the mountain, he eventually was guided back to his friends, even though he never saw the eagle again. George Popsick was saved, and in turn, he was the one who successfully defended Fort Jarius and Salm Valley itself when the bad guys finally showed up. And as I think I told you, he is also the one who hangs the coward off the top of Fort Jarius, but we'll get to that story another time. Even though in those days Isaiah couldn't directly help us, the eagle could. And even though the eagle's been gone for quite a while, kid, I still truly believe that if you do good and you help people in Salm Valley, you will be helped one way or another. I'll see you soon, Caleb. I love you.
I was 6 years old the first time I heard that story. And while, admittedly, the production value is a tad amateur, the information is just as good now as it was then. There are countless stories of the eagle in the valley right up until the 1930s. And you may be thinking to yourself, Caleb, doesn't that make sense? Even Dr. Ike herself mentions that losing the eagle is worth it if it means we get to have Mr. Lilith on our side. But that never sat right with me. I have known Mr. Lilith for the entirety of my life, and the one thing I would never define them by is limitation. It's a common understanding that the eagle is gone, but so much of what we do here is based on speculation that I wanted more. I didn't just want an lie of omission or an assumption. I wanted actual, verifiable proof that the Whistling Eagle is gone. And buddy, I found it.
Hello there, sir. It's Dr. Bibb. Do you mind if I come in?
It seems you are already in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to wait in the hall, or
How can I help you, Roy?
Yes. Well, Mr. Lilith, I am not here to report the success of the latest mission.
Operation Sporecticides in Panama.
No, sir. A complete and total failure, as is to be expected. No, sir. What I wanted to talk with you about is there's a certain subset of data which I have not been able to get my hands on.
Roy?
And with a better understanding of how that particular data works, I can better quantify Simeon's goals and capabilities, which affects everything that happens in the park.
All
And
of your
while I
questions.
understand that you may have an aversion, I truly believe that an understanding of the eagle will allow
All right,
me...
enough.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push.
I will answer any questions you still have, now and moving forward. But the eagle is no longer available.
It really is?
Yes, Roy. It's gone.
Is it though?
Oh, yep, nope. That's fine, I needed a break anyway. You know, to keep myself distracted from what I'm about to do, I've been thinking, who's most likely to try to kill me for trying this? And based on the stories that they tell about the Parliament, I think I might actually be able to talk my way out of that one. Which means that... Yep, right on cue. You know something, Simeon? Of all the freaks on this mountain, you're the one I've always feared the least.
Then die wiser. It cannot be.
Apparently it can.
Gotcha. December 24th, 2009. One of the most infamous nights in the history of either of our towns. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not happy that the Whistling Eagle finally showed up. For what it's worth, I'm pretty sure my dad was psyched too. But there's my proof that Mr. Lilith has been lying to us for damn near 100 years. And for something as simple and straightforward as that to be an utter fabrication, what else are they lying to us about? Trailhead? Jinn? Simeon? What else are you lying about? That question is no longer rhetorical.